Hi, this is Jim Martelo. This video is part of a series of videos that I created to help new brokers get started on the right path very successfully. This video is all about using tools to automate and streamline your business. You want to gain the edge in this business, and by using technology, you will have that edge needed to help you grow towards building a $1 million health insurance agency. So please watch this video closely, take notes, learn to implement it, and I will see you on the leaderboard.
Hi, this is Jim Martelo, and as part of a series of videos that I have put together for new brokers to help you get started on the right track, in the right direction, in as quick of a time as possible, this video here is going to talk about using your tools to leverage your performance. And again, as a brief review of what we've already talked about, getting started is so important. You need to make sure you're on the right path, and that early path will be very significant to whether you're heading down a path of success or a path of failure. In my opinion, most people it's more common for people to fail in this business, unfortunately, but the success rate leads you to marvelous riches. In my opinion, the biggest problem that people face in this industry is not knowing how to get started. And that's really the whole purpose of what I put together this video for. And it follows the path that you need to do in knowing who to call and building your pipeline and using the right tools, which we'll talk about today. But again, here as a quick review too, to keep it really simple initially, you're going to focus on lead generation. That is really your domain for the next year. And you're going to focus on generating 5 warm leads a day for the days you're working. And again, if you're doing that 6 days a week and you do the math on this business, it leads up to great rewards. And these are sustainable if you put together the right system. Again, we're talking about filtering and consistency in a process that works. I use technology a lot, and again, this is my setup, and I encourage you to get a setup like this where you have multiple monitors with a good processor that gives you the screen space and the technology bandwidth to be able to work efficiently and to use these tools to help you leverage your efforts. We talked about, let's first hear about who you're targeting. So let me get started here with who you're targeting. And we talked about targeting small business owners versus consumers. In order to do that, you need a very plentiful and available set of records, not leads, records. You're going to turn them into leads through this methodology. But by having unlimited records for just $50 a month, what a great deal that you can get accessing the data through Sales Data Pro. And using Sales Data Pro, which we're going to look at here in a second, but using Sales Data Pro, you have access to unlimited consumer and small business records. Again, they're not leads, but for just $50 a month. And using the sales training methodology that I'm talking to you about, you can turn those records into warm leads. And I can also share with you large files of realtors to call in key states, and I can even show you how you could data mine for that, but no need to initially. But for right now, let's take a look into Sales Data Pro, and I'll show you how easy it is to download records from the site. Okay, so here we're into the login page for Sales Data Pro. I do have a subscription with them. Again, the price is only $50 a month. I mean, it's such a great deal to get unlimited records. But when you log into Sales Data Pro, this is your dashboard. You're going to go into the upper right into My Lists as well. And then when you go into My Lists, up here in the top is where you can select and whether you want business data, which is really where you're going to spend the majority of your time, but you can get consumer data. But if you select business data here, you're going to select that. And then here's the information to download, okay? So here you can get like SIC codes, which is great for defining by the business type. You're going to want to look at the number of employees to get small business owners. You're going to want the address records as well. And as far as the contact names to download, the highest level of contact. If you want to look for number of employees, this is key. If you're looking for small business owners, you'll have plenty of records, just 1 to 3 employees. And you can go farther down. You can look by sales volume if you want. You could actually pick a specific business type by a SIC code. But for purpose of this, we're not going to do that. We're just looking for employees of 1 to 3, and then by location. So let's just keep it simple here. I'm looking for the state of Florida. So you start typing in the keywords. Here's Georgia. I'm picking that, and we'll just go with that. So here we're looking for small business data that has 1 to 3 employees in the states of Florida and Georgia. That's it. So let's go over here under order list, click on get record count, and it shows that there's 105,000 records available. Now right now, because I just pulled this a little bit ago, it's only showing I have 230 credits in the system. However, I can get that replenished through a tech support ticket, and it'll be done within the hour. Not a problem. But for here, to give you an idea here, I should be able to pull, it's usually a factor of 10. So I could pull 20 records here, and that will give me enough credits. Here's the order list, and here it is. You just click it and order. When you select it, it says OK, and then the list is going to be generated shortly. And then here it is up top. Already it's ready for you in the top. I think right now it's just actually refreshing. So here, let me just kind of reload that here. And if I click on that area here in that column, if I click download, it actually will download it. And these are the records here. And if I click on that, and again, this would be what I ultimately will be using to import into, I'm going to be using this to import into my sales dialer or Zen call, the different campaigns. But here, these are the records that you have, and you see it's the address, and you ultimately can import this. That is how simple it is to be able to use Sales Data Pro, and you can get an abundance of records. And again, here I showed where I have 493 records, and I have this all available for you too as well. So you don't have to get the subscription right away. Ultimately, I want you to, but right out of the gate, just wanted to show you how easy it is to be able to use Sales Data Pro to get unlimited data. Now, sticking with the whole theme here of tools and what we're using, certainly that falls into what we're using to text and email. So now I want to shift gears towards Radius and get into a little bit more detail with using Radius for texting and email. And I'm going to cover a lot of ground here, so I'm going to need to do this rather rapidly in using and talking about Radius. However, with Radius, it's just a tremendous tools that you will use in keeping your records in electronic format, which is so important. By able to do this, you can take large amounts of records and then enable them using Radius, and we'll talk about this here, workflows that then can create automated texting and email campaigns. And then also using features within Radius for status and tags, you can strategically manage your records to create automated workflow that you would be able to use for new leads and new customers, renewals, referrals. Very, very helpful for you to automate your business for sales, marketing, customization to stay organized. So here we're going to go into Radius now. We're going to look at some key features. And that's what I want to go over here to get you started with Radius. And that's in importing records. We're going to talk about learning about statuses and tags. We're going to talk about automated workflows, creating email content, and also then implementing your automation. So let's get into Radius now and actually take you inside the website. Well, here we're in the dashboard of Radius. It's actually what you would do when you first log in. And there's a lot of ways to use this program, but on the left side here are the key areas that your sections that you're going to be able to select. And let me just kind of take them one by one. First off, you're going to need to get records into Radius. Now, if you just were to add one record up here in the upper right, if you clicked add, you could just add a lead and easily do it that way. However, what I'm teaching you is in bigger volume. And if you were to import the records that you'd have, let's say out of Sales Data Pro, and you wanted to enable those here, what you would do is go to your leads section, and then you would import, and I'll show you how we can import a file. I have a test file here. If you would just go down to this section here, import leads. Now, when you're dealing with whether it be salesdialer.com or Radius, these programs, you're going to be dealing in a record format called CSV. It's not an Excel file. It's a comma separated value file. And this is the type of format you're going to use. So if you get an Excel file, you just got to save it as a .csv file. It's not hard, but you do need to do that or else you won't be able to do the import. So here we're going to import a test file that I have. So when you do it, you're going to click on leads normally, unless they're clients, but normally it'll come in as leads. You're then going to select the file. Now, obviously, knowing where all these are on your computer helps. I do have good organization here. And right for this one here, I've got this test campaign I'm loading. Here, I go to next step. And then here is where you're going to match up the fields. Here, I'm going to show you something here. So, for instance, this file, when it comes to the headers, you've got first name and last name, they match. But I always want to have the phone number in the cell phone number section in Radius because that's the cell that needs to have a phone number in to be able to have texting. So you're going to find within Radius you have phone and cell phone. But anyway, what I would do here in a file is just select here, I would select cell. And that'll actually put it in the cell section. But the email and status here matches up. So for this particular record, I have put the status as test. So I did create a status for that. And that'll help me later to identify the record. So what happens here with Radius then is that it tells you that the file's been queued for import. And then basically within a couple minutes when you refresh it, these records are going to be then in leads and for the import. And this was a very small file, so I wouldn't be surprised to see these records already in here because I did refresh the screen here. So let's see what I get here. So here they are. So these are the records I just imported here. And again, for this particular record here, if you open it up, you can go into the information and it shows your first, last name. Here is the email, the phone number here. But again, the status here I've got as a test status. And based on that, I'll show you workflows. But based on that status, you can create a workflow that would then trigger off a series of actions, such as sending emails immediately, in minutes, hours, days, months, same as texting, and a few other commands that you can put in action for workflow. So that is actually how it would happen if you were to import a record. Then I want to take you over to an area called settings. And you're going to use settings a lot in Radius, a couple things. First thing I want to point out is how you can add statuses. Again, in settings, look for status. You're going to click edit. And I have a number of statuses I've already created, but to create one, just go in the upper right, add a status option, follow the instructions here, but you're going to put it under a status group and you will create groups for like leads, clients. I have it for recruiting. But you're going to put it in the group, you're going to give it a sort order, you're going to put that in. That's how you create statuses. And again, you will use statuses to strategically manage your records. It's very, very helpful. And then within settings, you're going to have an area for tags. So I use tags and statuses together. I will use tags more as a subgroup for statuses, where statuses will be for a larger group of records. But then when I want to segment those records based on just different campaigns or whatnot, I would then do tags. So you will also create tags here the same way you create statuses. Go and edit, and I don't have as many tags as I have statuses. You can delete them, but you can add them right here, add tag, and it's really that simple. So a tag is a very helpful area as well. And much like with statuses, tags can be used to create workflow. And let's talk about that now. So in settings is where you can then go into your automated workflows. Here, edit, and I have a number of automated workflows created. So let's say we wanted to create a workflow for the status of test. I don't have one created yet. So let's say we did, we could add a workflow. Now you got to give it a name. So I'm going to just call it test. That's the name of this workflow. This is going to be for leads that have a status of test right here. But I could also have done it if it had a tag with a certain status as well. But right now, this is just going to be with the stat. I'm creating it. So any lead that comes in with the status of test, we're now going to create actions. But first, you got to save the workflow. It's a live workflow now, no actions. So if I wanted to send a text right away for any lead that comes into the system that has a status of test, I could select a text. I could send it like right away, a minute. You do need to collect this lead client, and here you could just put the message, test message. But this is actually what would happen. Save the action, and now you're going to see that any record that comes into the system with a status of test would get a test message sent to them a minute after the record comes in. And you can do this for a series of actions. So let's say you wanted to text this person in 3 days. And so you would send a text, and let's say you say, hey, did you watch the video? Or, hey, I haven't heard back from you after getting your quote. Are you still interested? Whatever you might want to say, but this is 3 days. And you could say, you know, this is a follow-up to our previous call. And by doing that, you actually could be sending a text here in 3 days, and watch. So you save that action, and you should get it here as I'm doing this. You know, and there was an error here because I didn't mark that lead client. That's why. That's an error. That'll correct it here. And sometimes you'll get that as that shows. So here it's fine. Now I've got it in 3 days. You could do the same thing if you wanted to send an email. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second, because you got to learn you got to create some emails to send. But let's say that right away you wanted to send an email and a text to somebody who's a new lead. Right here, again, put that lead client. But there, and we're going to talk about this here now, you do need to have email templates created. And as you create these templates, you can even set up so their first name goes in there. Very, very much customized. But for instance, I have a number of emails that I've created here. And I can help you with some of these if you just want a starting point here. But let's just say here, if this was a new lead starter email, that's my first one. And I save that action. And now what we have here is now another action that's been created to this workflow. So right here, this workflow is set up so it would send a text out right away, an email out right away, and right now another text is going out in 3 days. And I think you get it here. You would save the workflow. Probably don't even need to do that. It's already saved, but still, it never hurts to do it. Now I have a workflow created that's test. So I'm just going to delete that because I'm not going to use it. But still, you get the idea here in creating workflow. Now what I want to do is show you about emails. And you look under drip. The area for email is to actually do large emails to people, but first you got to create them. So initially, you're not going to have any emails in here. You got to build an email template. Now, granted, I can help you if you have some problems with the editor. But again, if you were to go into the first email, let me show you then how easy it is to create new emails. So here, if this was your starting email that was created here, but I could copy it. And this will create a second email that you can then go in, and then like the template name, you're not going to probably want to call it copy. Go in here and you could go starter email 2 or whatever. That's the name of the template, but this is the subject line, all very self-explanatory. This is an email editor, very, very powerful. You can put links in here so they could click a video. This could be a link to a YouTube video. I got my pictures in here. I got my website. I mean, you can do so much with this to make this look so professional. And then you can go down here and save template. So again, this talks to you about how you can create emails. And again, go to drips, and then it's going to show you all of the different emails. And again, over time, you'll have a lot. And then if you want to go to a record, I mean, this could all be part of that campaign that you have. So let me give you an example now, is that if you got a new lead here, and let's say the new lead was, let's say it was Test again. First name Test, second name Test, and this is putting it together. His phone number is 813-555-1212. His email is jim@123.com. And I sign a status of new lead here. So if you were to click that, you type in, it's probably going to show a duplicate lead maybe, I don't know, because there's already some leads in here, but here it is. So here it has a status, here's a new lead status, which I already have a workflow for that. And you're going to see here, because of the workflow I created, this is a series of pending workflow actions, all that was created just from that input right there. So very, very helpful for you to see how you can put all of this together with Radius. And again, as a quick review, let me go through what we just covered. So again, we just covered importing records. We just covered the differences with how you can really help to manipulate and enable your records using status and tags. I showed you how you can create automated workflows to really help to automate your business with emails and with texts that can be done over time. I showed you how you can create email content, and then also how you can put this all together and start getting some actions through all the different ways of using Radius. You can get started with Radius for just $35 a month. To me, it's a no-brainer, and it's a tool that you really do need to master. It's going to make it so effortless for you down the road as you have clients and you have renewals and help to manage them. You'll find it to be a great tool. So let's move on now to Mighty Text. And this is the last thing I'm going to show you here as far as tools. And Mighty Text is a desktop texting application. It is only going to be used with Android phones. So if you're on an Apple, this is not going to be a tool you're going to be able to use. However, Mighty Text is a very, very efficient and effective desktop texting application. You can get the Mighty Text Pro, which is all you really will get, because the regular one, you can't use the features, but it's just $5 a month. And using Mighty Text, I'll show you how you can create signatures, how you can synchronize your emails with your texts, how you have templates, which are really helpful, how you have a scheduler. Let's say that you wanted to send people text reminders 45 minutes or even 15 minutes prior to an appointment you have. You can use it that way, and you can kind of put it and get these out in advance. You could even set reminders for yourself. There's even a way here using Mighty Text where you could actually you could do like 800 texts an hour, sent one at a time using Mighty Text as a tool. It's a very, very powerful tool. So let's take a look at Mighty Text now. Okay, here's Mighty Text, and you have some of the features on the left, and up top here, you're going to go into the wheel here for settings. To create a new message, you just click on New Message here, and if you wanted to put in the phone number here, like here's my own number here, but this is like an example here. I've got different templates set up here real quick. And I could put, maybe if I wanted to customize it here, put the person's name here real quick. But here, if I was just talking to someone, here's like a quick little template I've got created. I've got this video already in the body of it. And I've even got my email signature. Boom, bam. I can send this out really quickly, very professional. And I could even put videos in here that make it look great. Now, to get some of the features of Mighty Text, you're going to go into the settings. And when you go into settings, in the tab up here, let's first start with signatures and templates. You can create a signature here, and there are little tips in creating a signature. It is a little tricky. Basically, you're just going to want to type everything out on one line. Don't put in your space bar until the very end, and then where you want to put your space, you're going to put it there and then hit enter. There is some trick to getting this to look right in Mighty Text. That's a little tip for you. You can go down here lower under your general area, and I would click the on for SMS to email sync. I use Microsoft Outlook as part of Microsoft Office, and I have a rule created that when I get emails, when I get a Mighty Text, I've got a rule set up so that goes into a folder. The benefit of that is in one place I can then look for email into text responses, which if you're sending out a lot of text, you're going to be, it's like you're fishing and you're looking for someone who is biting, and that'll help you to make sure you don't miss any of these. So that's a good feature as well in using that part of Mighty Text. Also on the scheduler here, these are the scheduled messages, but when you're sending a message in Mighty Text, what's really helpful here, when you go in a new message here under the scheduler, if I wanted to schedule a message to go out at 8:20 tonight, or even on Wednesday night, I could do that. And that's actually when this message would go out. So that's really helpful. I also use these reminders within Mighty Text for my own personal use. If I just want to get a reminder out to myself, it's really helpful. But also, you could send out, this is where I'm talking about, where you could send out so many messages at once. If you were just to start sending these out if you had like a list of people that you were going to call, here, and you click out, you can actually do up to 25 at a time. And then in your settings here, you can have a default to make sure it sends out individually versus group. So I've got my default set to individually. You could load up to 25 people here, get out your template. Here's a nice template I have that has a video to my health insurance webinar. And if you were, really motivated here, and if you got into a really good pattern, you literally could text about 800 to 900 people an hour, 25 at a time, using this method. You really can do that with Mighty Text. And again, what you would do is go down here under multiple recipient default. Just make sure that the individual one is the one that's checked, because you aren't going to bulk text. You do not do that. That is bad. You do not want to do that. Okay, so that is how you use Mighty Text. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, so hopefully that all was very helpful to you in using the tools. I told you it'd be a little bit of bouncy as we go between the screens and trying to keep the presentation organized. But again, one of the key foundations in helping you to build your $1 million health insurance agency is to be able to use these tools that help to enable technology and automate your business so that you can do more in less time. So again, I want you all to stay plugged in with me. The best vehicle for our most productive time together is on Skype. You can find me, Jim.Martello1 on Skype. And when we're on Skype, please make sure that we're connected so we can do screen sharing, texting, file sharing, one-on-one coaching. I will also be using it for team calls. However, I really do hope that this is a tool that we'll use as the primary platform, so when we're talking one-on-one. So team, with that said, it's all here now about that first year. Don't forget the focus here. The first year is all about lead generation, building that pipeline, singularly focused on that. And if you can do that consistently, you're going to be well on your way towards building your $1 million health insurance agency. So again, stay connected with me. Whatever it takes, I am here for you. Let's focus on lead generation, making sales, making money, and building the business. Thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you all on the leaderboard. Have a great day.